Hi, welcome to the Stitch TV show. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Pam. We're happy you're joining us today. The Stitch is an online quilting talk show.
It is.
The perfect soundtrack for your sewing room. Join us as we chat about current topics in the quilting world, techniques to improve your own projects, and fun stories about our quilts.
Our episodes come out twice a month, complemented by virtual sew-ins, podcasts, and you can learn more at thestitchtvshow.com.
Today we are accompanied by our mascot portraits hanging behind us. We'll be talking about ways to create portraits in quilting today and block of the month programs. So, Lynn, did you survive Clusterflake 2017, aka the Atlanta blizzard, which dumped all of like 2 inches of snow?
I think we've got 2 inches. Didn't you?
We got like 3.
Yeah, we were probably closer to 3 because we're so close together. I didn't go out. Honestly, we went to breakfast on Friday morning. It started Friday night. I did not put my head outside the door again until Tuesday.
Thursday for me. Just because I'm a hermit, not because of snow.
But other people in your house got out.
Oh, yeah. So school was canceled for 2 days. So the snow, elementary school gets out at like 2:30, so they were fine. It was starting to kind of rain then.
Yeah. And
Middle school got out at 4, and they said, well, as soon as the buses get here, we're letting the kids go out. So I think my son got home maybe 30 minutes early than normal.
Right.
Because they just I think they canceled the last 2 to 3 periods of class for the day and just had all the kids sit in the gym, which it's like, anyway.
Did they get to play?
I'm not a school administrator.
Just got to sit there?
They sat there, and I think if they had phones and stuff, they could play on it. And I'm scared to text my son saying, "Are you on the bus yet?" Because he'll get in trouble if he gets a text notification in class.
Oh.
Because they're always on to parents are like, "Don't text your kids," and I'm like, "I'm totally okay letting my kid go away and not talk to me for 8 hours." Like, I love my son, but so I didn't want to text him because I didn't want to get him in trouble because he's not always thinking about turning his volume off and all that stuff. So I was just kind of like, he'll be here soon. But he got home and
no big deal.
No big deal. And we all stayed in, I swear, by Saturday afternoon. Not even 24 hours of being in the house. My husband's like, I got to get out. Where are you going to go? What is happening? Like, you cannot.
It was very mellow in the Reinhardt household.
Yeah.
Well, my husband works from home. I work from home. So needless to say, we're used to being in the house together, and there's nothing else except for the dogs. They did get a little stir crazy because they don't like to be out in that, and they like to be outside.
Fred learned the joys of creating yellow snow, so he was all over it. He was like, "This is mine. This is mine. And this is mine."
Josie tried to see how she could walk in the snow with 2 paws. Like, she tried to paws not touching the ground.
Yeah. Levitating.
Like, how can I walk in the snow without my paws not touching the snow? And she was extra snuggly, so I got lots of Josie cuddles for 3 days.
Yeah, the minky, the double-sided minky blanket, I wouldn't call it a quilt, that I made my husband and Fred for Christmas came in handy.
Oh, there you go.
Because Fred would come in and he's like, all right, let's get the blanket. And he would burrow up in it, make a little burrito.
Yeah. Josie and I hung out on the couch and snuggled a lot for 2 days. Yeah. And we did like crock pot dinners, and we did do the obligatory go to the grocery store and get the bread, milk, and eggs.
Right, we were out of milk by Sunday morning. And
I think we still have milk.
We had 3/4 of a gallon before the snow started. I'm like, we'll be fine. By the end of the next day, we're like out of milk. I'm like, what is happening? I'm looking at the kids like, stop drinking the milk.
This is our biggest like failure. So I bought some steaks to make for beef stroganoff, and I forgot the mushrooms. So I'm like, I can't make beef stroganoff. Mike's like, really? Yeah, so we made the chicken instead of the beef. So it took us 2 days. So we didn't get beef stroganoff till Tuesday when we went out and got mushrooms.
We had filet mignon.
Wow.
Sunday night. Because, my husband had gotten gifted for Christmas from one of his clients, like an Omaha steak assortment.
Oh, there you go.
And it was so funny because it's only like 2 of each kind of meat. And I'm like, sorry, kids. Filet mignon for the grown-ups only. And they're like, well, fine, they don't like steak. But so like we had filet mignon and fancy vegetables. And the kids, I forget what I made for the kids, but it was something they enjoyed. And so, I mean, we had like fancy dinner.
We had fancy breakfast. So, because we had steak and eggs. Because I couldn't make all the steak. It was like a package of it. So I used part of it for steak and eggs.
We doubled up on the bacon.
In the morning. I forgot to buy bacon. I know. I'm sorry for those of you. I just forgot to buy bacon.
We made up for it at my house.
So
Because I got bacon before the snow.
Protection staff is like, we don't even know you, Lynn.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Well, my husband finally like busted out of the house Sunday morning. Like, it's gonna be great. I'll be fine. I'm like, he just had to get out of the house and go to the grocery store.
You can get out of your driveway though. You couldn't get out of mine.
Yeah, ours is relatively flat.
Ours
okay.
is.
Yeah, slopey.
Yeah, so coming back into it would be like
Whee!
launching off. It would
Now,
not be good.
admittedly, like half of it melted. So I think he had like one set of tires was on dry land, and the other half was on ice. It was like just everyone just lean to the left. You'll be
Stay
fine
on this side.
the weight-bearing side.
So yeah, I mean, if for those of you who don't live in the Atlanta area or the South, we celebrate snow a whole lot different than the rest of the country because we don't see it very often, and we hibernate when it comes.
Oh, my son totally busted out the slide that we've had since I was a baby that we got in Germany and was like sliding down the road on the sled.
Yeah.
Like,
but we don't, we only get it. So now that I've seen snow, it's happened. I don't have to. Winter's over.
Yeah, let's have some spring.
Yeah, we're ready.
Just as well. It got up to
January.
70 degrees
It was
on
70
Thursday.
yesterday. Yeah. So there you go.
Fahrenheit, BT dubs. We don't live on the surface of the sun. That's not Celsius.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
All right.
So what's our topic? Our first topic?
Well, we are going to talk about portraits.
Dun, da, da.
Now, you may not have the opportunity to have the subject sitting right in front of you.
True.
AKA a real dragon.
Right.
They're not that great with portraits, dragons, so I hear.
They
They
probably
get
not.
mad and set everything on fire, and then you got to start over. So
Exactly.
it's not a good look. So I made these using paper piecing, which is, as we've discussed before, the Ginger Rogers of quilting. You got to do it backwards.
You got to do
practically
it
in heels
and upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love paper piecing. It gives you great techniques.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can get some really cool details with paper piecing.
And there's like especially when you have like all the pointy bits. There's a lot of little pieces.
Yep.
So yeah, I saved up for when I had long periods of time where it didn't matter if I had a wide range of emotions, from anger to delight.
Have you ever done? Now, paper piecing's done on paper, but you can also do the paper piecing technique on a foundation.
Yes.
And not tear away the paper at the end, which is nice.
Yeah.
No, it is. Like
I'm sure it's nice, but I haven't done that.
Oh, I've got a quilt that I did with, and you can get really small, teeny tiny, like 1/8 inch size pieces with foundation piecing that you don't have to tear away. And that gives you some really intricate detail.
So do you then use a thinner batting, or do you just let that extra layer of fabric ride?
I just let that extra layer of fabric ride because it's an interface type.
Okay.
Yeah, foundation.
I've seen that with pineapple blocks.
Yeah.
That's good. Not a portrait, unless you're doing a portrait of a pineapple, which, okay.
That could be, if it's Hawaii, it's the symbol of welcome, pineapples. I know weird stuff. I quilt and I know things. It's a t-shirt out there. Did you see it?
I did see it. It looks like it's Game of Thrones themed, though, with the
totally
font. Okay.
Game of Thrones
all right.
theme. Yes.
I know things, too.
See? There you go. But have you done other techniques outside of paper piecing for portraits?
Not well.
There's lots of techniques that you can do.
There are.
First, you
printed
can
photographs.
Printed photographs. So you have to hold this one up.
Oh,
so
I got to do work. Oh, it's not my favorite.
So this is a photograph of my mother and her 3 sisters that I had printed on spoon flower. I don't know how to quilt it. That's why it's not quilted.
Yeah, you got to be tricky because you don't want to go and give everyone googly eyes and quilt around them.
Yeah.
And what I've seen on portrait quilts, because I've seen some for family reunions and such, and generally they do, an outline around, and you try and outline you don't get into the detail of the fingers, but you can do like, here is a leg, not, and there's a shoe. Because that can
I think this is their cheesecake shot. I think it's great.
Yeah. But I would use invisible thread.
Yes, definitely.
For sure. Because otherwise, then you're like, you just do a little white into the black, then you got to go in with a Pigma pen. Or
right.
The worst is when you do black thread accidentally on white because there's no going back.
Well,
I don't think you're supposed to
take it out.
No. I ain't got time for that.
You can always take stuff out, but you can print photographs on spoon flower, and I don't want to say Spoonflower. I mean, that's one of the companies that does it.
Well, you can do it yourself at home if you have an inkjet
Right.
printer. I don't think it works so much with laser cartridges. The inkjet is what really soaks into the fabric.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
Inkjet is definitely
have
the
you
key.
ever done it at home and used like bubble jet set or done the mix it your own, or have you just
I've not done that. Have you?
Yes. But it's always been on quilts that I know I won't wash because I have this fear that it's
Right. Well,
washing,
this is
all going to fade out.
yeah, definitely going to be a wall hanging, so I'm not going to wash it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Then the other technique, I have lots of techniques for.
She does.
I
got like
portraits.
one. I literally have a one-trick pony. Or one-trick unicorn, as it were.
So this is a quilt that I did. Yeah, and it's value. It's a study of value. So it's my face, essentially, in green.
I would say it has a high value.
So I took a picture and then I ran it through Photoshop, and I took it down to grayscale, and I had 4 colors in the grayscale, which gave me the definition that I needed. And then I used Wonder Under or some kind of fusible web and cut out the different levels and then fused them down. So this would really be an applique technique.
Yes.
It's not finished. A lot of my quilts aren't finished.
So one day, when you quilt this, would you let the quilting be what secures the applique, or would you go and stitch this down before you quilt it?
If I were going to put it in a show, I would have to stitch it down before I quilted it because they would look for that. Huh. But as it is, I probably will just quilt it.
Yeah.
Because
it's very thick. Like it's, it stands up on its own.
Yeah. It's not a
cozy quilt.
It's a wall hanging. I forgot what I called it. Something about
dreaming of quilting.
Yeah. Oh, quilts dancing in her head.
They're not in her head, they're over her head.
Well,
that joke's over her head too. Ba-dum-tsh.
It was a takeoff of the Christmas.
Oh, we're getting another comment about how mean I am.
How what?
How mean I am.
You did get a comment about how mean.
I still haven't seen it. I think you went and deleted it.
I did not delete it.
I haven't seen it. Of course, I haven't gone looking for
it.
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah. That they said need to not, they cringe because sometimes you're mean to me.
Well, welcome to the show.
But it was always in good fun, so I don't care. All right, so then there's another technique that you can do, and it's a mosaic technique, and I actually teach this class. Dun, dun.
When? No, I haven't taken it.
Well, so.
When are you teaching it?
I don't know. I need to schedule some time. So this is a raw edge fusible technique. And again, you take a picture through Photoshop or the other programs, and you tile it to where you can get a mosaic. This is really hard to see close up. When you get a distance away from it, the camera will help with this. But these are my 2 dogs. So this is the nose of one dog, 2 eyes, and then this is the nose of the other dog.
So it's kind of like pixeling, but you're not stuck with squares because there are like long rectangle pieces.
Right. And that was just laziness.
Well, okay.
Because you could pixel it and do each individual square, and you can sew all those together, and there's a way to do that.
Yeah, and there's a very famous David Tennant one, and I forget the quilt maker, but I'll look it up and put it in the show notes.
Right, very famous David Tennant one, which, by the way, these were done way before that one came out. Yeah. But this, I took it from the lady who invented the technique, or who did the technique originally. But it was just a matter of, I'm not going to take all, because these are little squares like this big, so I just glued them all down. Plus, I thought long stripes will give you the nose kind of look or whatever of those face. So that's one of them. And then the more value you put in it, the more details. This one's more detailed than that one is because it's got, I think, 20 fabrics compared to like 12 or 13. So it gives you more detail. And then this is my nephew, John Thomas. He will be famous. He will be very excited.
He's much better behaved on the show than my son is when he decides to troll us on the virtual stitches.
So that's a mosaic technique. And then the last technique that I have that I took a class from Susan Brubaker Knapp was we printed out a photo. So this is my photo of my dog, Josie, who, if you follow us on Instagram and stuff, you definitely see. So, and this is in the midst of painting. I'm not done with it yet. So this is fabric, and I've essentially drawn this photo onto the fabric, and we're painting it.
She looks a lot more worried here than she does in the photo.
Well, she needs more detail. Like, I don't have her eyelashes in it yet.
Can you give her a little mustache? Like a little twirly one? She could be a French dog.
She's kind of a diva dog.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, she's a diva. So anyway.
So then how would you finish this as a wall hanging? Would you just outline with...
No. I would go, and I plan to go in with much more detailed thread and give me my...
And you would match the thread to the paint color?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So did you use a projector, or did you freehand it? Like how much artistic technique?
Traced it.
Traced. What was behind this to allow you to trace it?
This is pretty thin, so you...
Okay.
Yeah.
Just hold it up and squint. Got it.
Yep. Traced it on there. So... You traced... What you did, though, is you traced tracing paper onto this.
Oh,
and
okay.
then the tracing paper is underneath this. And you can use a light box. And then
I was going to say, because...
yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
So, da-da-da. So that's another portrait technique. Now, those are all portraits that were personal to me. So those are my photographs, that kind of stuff. So then the question is, how do you use stuff? And I don't want to get into copyright so much, but you want to be able to use pictures that you can use.
That are in the public domain.
That are in the public domain. So there's this great website called Paint My Picture. And it's a group of photographers that put out photographs for artists to use. So you sign up for this thing. A friend of mine turned me onto it. And you sign up for this thing, and they have tons of photographs out there that you can then use copyright free. So it's a really cool website.
So even though it says Paint My Picture, do they provide any of the line drawing companion to their picture? Or do they, so they just give the picture? They just give
the photo. Yeah. Now, it's designed for really not fiber artists as much as it's designed for portrait type, or people who want to paint landscaping or, and don't have the photography skills to go out and take the glorious picture of that orchid, or haven't traveled to, that national park or whatever. And
yeah, there are other sites that do royalty-free photos. So we actually use one for work, and it's pixabay.com. And there are some portraits, there are also landscapes, and there's also like conceptual, illustrations. They're not necessarily all photos.
Yeah, I'm actually getting ready to start a piece today, after I answer some questions from the production staff on something else, but for a challenge where I'm going to use a picture out of that, paint my photo for a challenge. Our guild has a challenge every year, and the challenge this year is...
it's a jungle out there.
It's a jungle out there, yeah, and we have to use... It has to be some kind of animal that could live in forest or jungle. Or
it has to represent a jungle. It must include an animal print. It must have a identifiable tree.
Oh, I have to include an animal print?
Yes.
That's going to be dodgy.
So, yes, and it can't just be on the back, because people already asked. All these workarounds and loopholes. And yeah.
I got the tree down. I know, animal
And
print.
I did find out it could be a hall tree. It doesn't have to be like a pine tree or a palm tree, because I was like, this is a hall tree or a shoe tree.
You could take one of Nina.
The challenge coordinator kind of gave me the side eye, like, knock it off.
I think she did get tired of you asking her all that.
She did.
She was like, "How?"
Joke's on her. I'm not even putting an entry in.
I would like to put an entry in, so I'm thinking about doing that.
I would too, but I don't know that I have time because I got some deadlines.
I got some deadlines too, but I'm ignoring them.
Not for long.
Until Pam gets on me. I'm ignoring all my deadlines. So those are a lot of different ways that you can do portraits, And I I would say the one I've done the most is mosaic, because I got kind of hooked on that.
There is a
I've done 3 or
free
4 of those,
Craftsy class on doing pixelated quilts if you're interested in that.
which is a little bit different than mosaic.
It
but
is,
Yeah.
but it will introduce you to the idea.
Yeah,
And
of value,
yeah.
and that's essentially what that is. I do like Maria Elkin's technique, which is the green, my face, the green one. That was her technique on value. Took a class from her. That was a great technique. I loved it. And then Susan Brubeck, her nap, is the one that did the painting on photos. And then the other one was just me putting up files to a fabric printing company, aka Spoonflower. And they sent me that back. So
cool. All right. Well, we are going to take a short break and let you all take a closer look at the Vinnie and Stitch portraits behind us. You can learn more about how they're created on our blog, stitchtvshow.com. So, second topic. Is it block of the month or blocks of the month?
Really? That's the whole topic?
No, actually, that was my first question about this topic. Because I just had BOMs, and you were like, what is this? And I was like, big old mama. And then you laughed.
No, I said, is this block of the month? I thought it was, but I was just making sure. I never know exactly.
Bomb diggity.
I think it's block of the month.
Is there an apostrophe? I don't think so, because it's plural.
Plural.
Yeah. Meh, and there's no S at the end.
Block of the month.
Blocks of the month.
So, do you do blocks of the month?
Yes.
No, you've got me doing it.
She did it wrong. Yes, I do some bombs. BOMs.
You do it every year, don't you?
I do.
At least one.
Yes. And there is a slight difference because traditional block of the months, and now I'm paranoid about how I say it, is, and that was the police calling in telling us, grammar police, you're doing it wrong.
Grammar police got us.
So traditional block of the months,
yes,
are usually a paid program, and they could be via mail or they could be at a local quilt shop.
I've done a couple of those.
Yeah, paid. The ones that I do is actually a Saturday sampler program where the payment is going to the shop and listening to a little infomercial about everything going on at the shop, which I think is kind of neat because I'm nosy enough to want to know anyway.
Oh, that's honestly, that's how I started quilting.
Yeah.
Is the Saturday sampler program where I went, I didn't know how to quilt, and I went and they said, you know, pay $5. At the time it was $5, and you got your little kit, and you sat through the instruction on here's how to put this block together. And the first month was half square triangles. I don't think they even did flying geese. I think it was just half square triangles and 4 patches or something like that. And you did your little block. And so I didn't know how to do any of those things. So I learned how to do half square triangles. And then by the 3rd month, you know, they kept adding more difficult stuff. So by the 3rd month, I've got half square triangles under my belt and flying geese under my belt, and I can do a 9-patch now. And so it, for me, was a building block of skill set.
Yeah, the one I do now, they're all units that I know how to make. So square and a square, flying geese, half square triangles. So I do it because I mentioned I'm nosy. And I like to be connected to the local quilting community. And they do show and tell. And then at show and tell, sometimes you get a little prize, like, ooh, free fat quarter or $5
She likes
off.
a little prize.
I like a little prize. But also, a lot of times, the quilts we tend to make there are usually fairly big, except now I've run out of people in my life to give like full-size quilts to. So I have taken recently to when I do the quilts, or the 12 blocks throughout the year, I usually end up donating them. So it's a good way for me to kind of keep going with charitable donation. And 12 blocks, and they're usually 12-inch blocks, it's kind of big to do all 12 blocks in one quilt because we're giving to kids and stuff. So I usually break it up into two sets of 6-block quilts. Although this next one coming up this year, it is Cafe fabric and grunge fabric. So
Really? Now
I
I'm
might keep
peaked.
that one.
I'm peaked and interested.
Well, because of
So,
aforementioned Cluster Flake 2017, the shop had to reschedule their first one. So there's still time to sign up.
really?
Yeah, because now it's third and fourth Saturday instead of the first and third because the first one got canceled.
Ah.
Hmm.
Huh. That's next week, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I've done a lot of block of the months, and then I stopped doing them just because I wanted to do my own thing, and I got tired of them choosing all the fabric, and so I wanted to choose the fabric, and so I didn't. Now, the traditional block of the month where you pay every month and get a block and a
Mhm.
specific kit,
Mhm.
like the last one I did. And really, I think I just collect these. I don't know that I do them. Like there was one with a zoo with different animals.
Yes.
I collected all those.
Yeah,
I
okay.
haven't done one yet. And then there was the one that they did at the shop that we go to with gingerbread houses. And so
think I
I
did that one.
collected gingerbread houses. I haven't done that one yet.
I did one.
But they're
on-
like a 7-8 month program. And it was like, I don't know, $20 or $30 for
each
kit.
month. Yeah.
Each month, yeah.
So I researched a couple. There was my Halloween Baltimore album quilt that I did a couple years ago.
Oh, that was one?
In theory, was set up as a block of the month, except I researched and found a shop that was selling all 12 months as like one big kit, and it was kind of discounted compared
Right.
to $25 a month. And I was like, well, here we go. And it was still kind of pricey.
Oh, yeah. Those things are
And,
expensive when you
I mean,
add them all up.
yeah, the instructions they gave
$200
were
to
for
$300.
like needle turn applique. I'm like, that's cute. No, I did fusible.
Yeah. So those are a good way to get into applique though, because a lot of those block of the months like that where you buy the kits are applique.
Yes, and the other one that I've done that was a paid program that I did through a local shop was applique, and it was a Nancy Halverson 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And my mother-in-law and I did it together. In theory, except mine's been finished for a couple years. And she's like, I should just give you all mine to finish, and you could just, and that will be her Christmas present one year. I will finish her quilt for her.
If she doesn't want them, I wanted to sign up for that and couldn't get it.
Let her know.
Yeah, there you go. So because I've done block of the months, but I haven't finished block of the months. Da da da. Da da da. Oh, this is
not it.
Well, it's for a quilt. I got this block of the month because I wanted to. Like this was probably one of the first ones where they taught you how to do 4-patch or whatever. So my grandparents owned a flower shop. And so I was attracted to this one because it's all flowers. And it was like a flower of the month thing. So you got the carnations.
Now, are all these flower fabrics from the same line, or are they
Yes.
mixed? Oh, okay, because I was going to ask. So the one that I traditionally do at the shop, they tend to go with fabrics from a line.
Well, this was from the same company.
Because typically a lot of shops, and this is a little behind the scenes action, will buy a program.
Right.
And they say, oh, we are selling this subscription program for you to use at your shop. And so they will buy all the patterns, and then they will buy a line of fabric for it. And that's really how they are coordinating and making money. I like to mix it up. Every once in a while, I will like throw in a different fabric, particularly if there's one.
Right.
There was a Bonnie and Camille Saturday Sampler Block of the Month program I did that I liked all of the fabric line, except they threw in one that had a white background with some orange flowers. Not because it was orange, but I thought that was the contrast and the design of that one particular fabric didn't speak to me. And so every time that came up in one of the blocks, I would just put in a solid lime green.
Yeah.
And so then you make it a little different, make it your own.
Yeah.
As long as you.
Well, there was a flower of the month line where they came out with.
Oh, like birth flowers, or just they picked a random flower each month?
I think they picked a random flower each month. I forgot what
that must be
company did.
January.
Yeah, because it's all different carnation flowers.
Because January, flower of the month is
Carnations.
And do you remember July? The lily.
No, I don't.
Do you know how I remember that?
Because that's your birthday month?
But also because when I was a kid, there was a My Little Pony special mail-in offer to get your birth month flower pony.
Oh, wow.
And I have a very
I was
special collector's
disappointed.
edition Lily, My Little Pony.
Well, my birthday's January, actually.
That's why we had cake on the virtual
Yes.
stitch-in. One of the reasons.
Yes, we'll talk about that next episode. But anyway, I was always disappointed because carnation wasn't my favorite
Well,
flower.
except that this episode comes out on your birthday.
No, next episode does.
No.
It's this one?
This one.
Oh, happy birthday to me.
Huzzah! Clink.
Now that we know. Yay. Well, I never liked carnations. They weren't my favorite flower, so I always wanted to be more exotic.
I mean, I know, yes. What is more exotic than a carnation in your mind? Anything? Dandelions?
Almost, yeah. No, and I shouldn't say that because my grandparents owned a florist shop, and one of the ways that maybe this is it, because my mom used to get, when she got in trouble, because my mom was a slight rebel, she would have to go out into the greenhouse and debud the carnations. Because carnations will come up with two different buds, and if you take the smaller one off, the first one gets bigger. So she would have to pull off the...
So you inherited this distaste genetically.
Probably. I don't know. It wasn't around by the time I came around. I was the end of the grandkids, so the grandparents had retired and actually were passed when I came up through the generation, whatever. So, but the reason I did this is because I want to put together these block. The reason I brought this out is because you're good at block of the month stuff, and I quit doing it years ago. So, but I still have these blocks. I want to separate them into two different quilts because in one of the portrait you saw my four aunts, or my mother and her three sisters. Two of them are still alive. They were the the daughters of a florist. These are the blocks of flowers. So I thought I'd separate these into two different ones. And I'm going to, this is one. So it was the Weaver's Florist greenhouse. And their saying was, we know them because we grow them. So I was going to put this in the middle, but I need a design for two different quilts that I can give to my aunts because... See, these are all like announcements you didn't know. Because we have entered Paducah, and if we get into Paducah, I'm going to ask my aunts to come to the show.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'd like to give them a quilt at the show.
So I had a suggestion.
Okay.
But since you're set on splitting them up into two groups, we can figure.
Okay.
So...
I mean, I can make other blocks, but I don't have a lot of material.
Right. So I was going to ask, how much scraps you have left? Because one of the layouts I did where it was a 6-block quilt, there was a lot of like long strips left. And so I trimmed them all to 2.5 inches and just stitched them together end to end kind of randomly and used that as a scrappy sashing to set 6 blocks and then did another border on the sides because 6 12-inch blocks in a 2x3 layout is kind of long and skinny. Which is an odd, if you have a long, skinny child, that works, but,
I've got the yardage of some of the floral stuff.
But if you want to do that in the center.
Yeah, I got to do this in the center.
I had done a star on point layout for the shop because they had asked me that one year when it was the solid of, hey, you're good at this and we want a modern setting. Could you design?
Oh, yeah. That may work.
And that was just, I designed a 12-inch block to go in the middle that was set on point.
Yeah.
And then there was flying geese going around it.
Yeah.
And then,
So I want to I need to finish these up and give them to my aunts. That's my goal.
So there you go.
This year.
Because I was going to say, if you didn't have that you wanted to go in the center, I would do like a big flower, like an applique big flower or something.
Yeah, but this will tie it to them and it'll be more special because that's the saying that their business had kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll hook you up.
All right. Yay. So we got my problem solved. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. See, Pam's not mean. You're not. The comment where they said you were mean. You're not mean. Yeah. So you just proved it. So
I mean, I have made a boss cry. Not my current boss. He's nice. Previous boss. He had to go.
You've
made a coworker cry.
You've made me cry.
Yeah, but that was laughing.
I know.
It's because I'm funnier than I am mean.
That's right.
I'm just telling the truth.
It's right. See.
So if you didn't want to break these up into two different, what else? Do you have other suggestions? I don't think you do, but I wrote some down. Look at me setting up my own joke. Woo! So one other thing I've done when I've finished the blocks, and I'm kind of like, I don't know about that. I have actually turned them into individual placemats.
That's what I was gonna say. Placemat.
Because these are super bright and cheerful. And so our guild donates placemats to Meals on Wheels. And they deliver placemats kind of throughout the year, but specifically at the holiday time when, the people that need Meals on Wheels maybe need a little more pick-me-up. So placemats are super easy. You can just do like a 3-inch wide strip on either side, and then bam, you got a placemat size thing. It's a good way to practice quilting on a smaller scale too.
Mug rugs? Kind of big.
No, these are too big for a mug rug.
I could have a lot. I have a big piece of cake.
That's a cake rug. That's not a mug rug.
Cake rug. We should create that. That should be a thing. Like to have a cake rug. Because we eat cake and watch American Bake Off. And we should have, production agrees, we should have a cake rug. This could be our thing. It could be a new trend. Be awesome. Okay, hot pads maybe for the...
Sure.
3 of them could be a table runner.
It's true.
There you go.
4 of them could be a table topper.
Oh, stop it. We could go nuts. But it's a good deal. If you do have the Saturday sampler, it's a good deal because it's like, well, it used to be $5. I think it's more now.
It's a $10 setup
that
you pay once. And then as long as you complete
you
that
have
month's
to show
block,
your work.
yes, and you don't skip a month, or if you do skip a month, you have to pay $10 to get the next block if you miss like the 2 designated times to go into the shop and show your completed work.
Yeah, or one time. Like...
Now they will, and then they'll sell the finishing kit, which of course is an extra cost.
Right.
Sometimes you go rogue like me and you're like, you don't know my life, I'm making my own layout.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, nope, I like that one, I'm going to go with it.
Right. And you do not know, because I sew at a quilt store on a certain day of the week with a group of women, and their employees are there cutting block of the month.
Oh, yeah.
It is a
bananas.
ton of work for them. And we call it Math Monday. Because they have to figure out, all right, we need 70 kits, because that's how many people go through that program. And how many do we cut of, this fabric compared to how many we cut of the other
colorways.
The 4 colorways or the 4 fabrics that are in each kit. And you only need 3-inch by 12-inch strip of the one that you're not using very much. But and then they have to kit them all up. It's a lot of work. And instructions have to be right. So if you have a quilt store that's close, it's one awesome way to learn how to quilt. It's how I learned how to quilt. So, and it's definitely cost great deal.
Well, the Saturday sampler is yes. When you get to the paid, like you pay each month, then it's much more this balance of cost and convenience. Because some of them, it's like pre-fused laser cut. They hand it to you. You like stick it down, stitch it, and you're good. Some of them, it's here's the fabric, here's the pattern.
Right.
And you'll see that reflected, in what you're paying for that. So if it's a quilt you're really in love with, typically what I do is, I went online and said, oh, can I get all 12 at one time? And is that going to save me money? Which is a bigger upfront cost because it was a big chunk of money versus
it can
smaller
be
chunks throughout the year.
For some of those kits.
But I will say check throughout the year and see, because sometimes they will lower the cost or, this website has like a site-wide sale. Yeah.
A year later, they've got extra that people didn't buy.
Or even what I've done, when I finished that Halloween Baltimore album, I didn't mark up the patterns or anything. And I said, well, I've made the quilt. I don't need to remake it. I have my one. I'm good. And so then I just sold all the patterns for it together in a bundle on Etsy at way discounted compared to, what I paid. It didn't come with fabric or anything, but like, here are all the patterns and the instructions.
I should probably do that. I've collected a lot of, there was one group that did nutcrackers, and it was all the different nutcrackers during the year. And I've got all the 12 nutcrackers. I haven't done it yet, though, so I should wait till I do it.
Yeah, don't. And don't just make a copy and sell it. That's violating copyright.
Right. No, yes, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Not that I'm saying that you were.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
No.
Anyway. Well, do we have anything else? That's it.
Well, let us know if you participate in Blocks of the Month, whether it's online or in person, and what makes a successful one for you. So that is all that we have for today's episode. Surprise! Today's show could not happen without 77 Peaches Enterprises, your one-stop shop for creative support.
And we'd like to thank 77 Peaches, Big Think Productions, Cotton Art Studio, and Hip to Be a Square for being a part of The Stitch. You can find links to their sites on our show site, thestitchtvshow.com. If you're interested in sponsoring our show, please email us at info@thestitchtvshow.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like it on YouTube. Share your thoughts on this episode's topics on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and tag us with the Stitch hashtag, The Stitch TV Show. Hashtag. The next virtual Stitch-In is Friday, February 10th at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern. It'll be on our channel here on YouTube and on our website. My podcast, Hip to Be a Square, is out Fridays at hiptobeasquarepodcast.com or on iTunes or Google Play.
You can email us with questions or comments at info@thestitchtvshow.com and buy our patterns at shop.thestitchtvshow.com.
All those details and more can be found on our website, stitchtvshow.com.
Stitchtvshow.com.
Tune in next time for more quilting chat with friends.